As NextGen leaders, our responsibility is to align with our church's vision, set clear goals, and communicate them effectively so that our teams can run with them with confidence and purpose, and ultimately making a difference in the world around them. Well, hello and welcome back to the Next Gen podcast. A happy new year to everybody. Yes, I know, before you start saying anything, yes, the Christmas decorations are still up, and yes, I want to take them down. But a massive welcome back to the Next Gen podcast. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. I hope you had a great Christmas and New Year's, no matter what you were doing. And if you're joining us here today, welcome. It is great to have you here on the Next Gen podcast. Of course, a special welcome back to all of our Next Gen Nation members, whether you're here for the first time or the first time in a long time. Welcome back. Our heart for this podcast is that we would be able to equip, empower, and inspire a new generation of leaders to serve and invest into the next generation. And no matter where you are listening or watching on from whatever platform and whatever country around the world, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and so many more, welcome. Just a reminder, we don't know everything, but we do know something, and we hope our something can be your one thing that you need to take your leadership to another level. It has been a summer we've just had. Annaliese and I have had a great time in New Zealand. We're back here in Australia now, and we are back in the full swing of everything. One thing I want to let you know about before we go any further is that if you're looking to book in Next Gen team trainings, Next Gen podcast is brought to you by Here and Now Ministries, which is a awesome ministry that we run, looking to do these sort of things in person with in-person team trainings or online. And no matter where you are around the world, we would love to partner with you. You can head to the website harrysladenz.com, and you can head there, have a look for the resources, have a look for some team training things, or you can email us hello@harrysladenz.com and we will answer. We'd love to partner with you in any way, either Annaliese or myself in 2025 and beyond. So make sure you do that so that we can partner with you. Okay. Today, first podcast of 2025, let's talk about goal setting and vision setting. The title of today is Getting and Setting Great Goals and Vision. It's one of the most important things that leaders can do, but it's also one of the most tricky. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 2 in the New King James Version. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 2 in the New King James Version is where we're going to read from. We're talking about getting and setting great goals and vision, but not just for your ministry or your church. I want to talk about within the context of small groups and individual stuff as well. How do we do this? What we're going to talk about today is broad stroke, but I believe you can apply it no matter what you're doing and no matter what your leadership looks like. Okay, let's have a look. Habakkuk 2:2 says, "Then the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it." Habakkuk was a prophet, and God instructs him to clearly write down the vision that God instructs to him. This vision is given to Habakkuk to pass on to the people so that ultimately those who hear the vision can run with it. He makes it really, really clear. Listen, I want you to make it plain for the people to understand. Now, this word plain in the Hebrew is this word boar, and it means to make it plain, distinct, or to make it clear. Now, for every leader trying to bring vision and direction to a team, we need to ensure we do these three things. We need to make sure it's plain, as in easy to understand. We don't want the vision or the goals to be murky, muddy, or confusing. We want it to be plain. We want it to be clear, as in, is it clear what you want me to do after you've given me the vision? Is it easy to action? The third thing is that we want it to be distinct. We want it to be unique to you and your specific church and mission. We don't just want to copy and paste in stuff from other people. We want the vision and the goals to be distinct to you. I love the book of Habakkuk because it reminds us the importance of clarity in leadership. When we write down the vision and make it plain, it empowers others to take action too. Now, this is true for not just ensuring that the ministry has goals and vision, but every small group has goals and vision. Every individual has small groups. Every individual has a small group. Can you tell that I'm starting to think executive-minded for Kingdom Culture Church as well? This is what I'm thinking about. We want every individual to also have goals and vision as well. But why? Why is vision so important? Why do we stress vision as such an important thing that we do? The reason why is because unity drives growth and kingdom impact, because God commands a blessing where there is unity. Vision and goals help create the parameters for what we need the unity to come around. So we're unifying not just in behavior, but in spirit. And when we get that vision from the Lord, when we get that clarity and we have goals that back up the vision, now all of a sudden people can unite around it and God can command a blessing. So how do we do this? How do we get and set clear goals and vision for our lives? Well, this is how we're going to do it. We've got three things that I reckon, three things that I see, three things that I know and I do, and hopefully this helps you as well. The first thing that we have to do is we have to seek alignment before action. We have to seek alignment before action. The starting point of every ministry should be to make sure that you are clear on the church's vision. It's one of the most ugly things in church is when you build a church, quote unquote, within a church. What I mean is that when you build your own little thing inside the big thing, we want to avoid, this is what I'm trying to say, we want to avoid creating micro visions within the vision. What's an example of this? An example of this is when a worship team has a goal and a vision of just being small, introspective and reflective, when the senior pastor's goals and vision for the church is for impact, breakthrough, and personal encounter. It's not that the worship team's goals and vision is wrong because of its substance, but it's wrong because it doesn't align with the whole body. The church operates as a body. It operates like a body. So when you have it out of alignment, what happens is it creates pain, frustration, and enduring issues. And when we do this, when we build church within church, or when we have these micro visions within the vision, it's ugly because ultimately we create room for unalignment. That's not a word, but to be unaligned. We come out of alignment within the body of Christ. For many, many years, I've had a football injury, and I saw the chiropractor for many, many years trying to correct it, trying to take my spine that was out of alignment and bring it back into alignment. And can I just say, as crazy as the chiropractor is, and it works a little bit, and then life goes and you end up going back into how you were, so you got to pay more money, and the process seems to never end. With the chiropractor, you have to pay lots of money, endure pain to realign your spine. And the reality is that it's the exact same thing for the body of Christ. It's a costly exercise. Sometimes the cost isn't necessarily money. Sometimes it's time. Sometimes it's effort. Sometimes it's energy. But there is a high cost to pay for a team that's operating out of alignment. It costs time, it costs emotions, it costs impact, and it can also be quite painful trying to take teams who have gone on their own journey, their own direction, come out of alignment with the body of Christ, and having to realign them. It can be a painful process as well. So we have to make sure that we're clear on the church's goals and visions. We have to make sure we are aligned with what our church is wanting to bring in. If your church, for example, seeks to reach 1% of the local community, let's say that's your vision. We want to make a difference in 1% of our local community's life. That's easy then. Your goal and your vision, let's say you're the youth pastor, is to reach 1% of the youth in the local community. Why? Because it comes into alignment with what the church's goals and vision are as well. Actually, I think a good activity for us to do right now, just wherever you are, is to just run yourself through this little alignment check. You should always check, are we in alignment with the church? Don't do anything about it. I just want you to do an analysis and ask yourselves these questions. What's the vision of the church, and do we align to it? Like, do you even know the vision of your church currently? If you don't know, figure it out and then figure out how you align to it. Second thing, what are the goals that we have right now as a church? And do we align with that? Let's say your church's goal is to start a soup kitchen for your church. Well, does your ministry help build towards that or not? And how do we realign it? And then the third question I want you to ask is, what are the biggest risks right now in your ministry to the church? These three questions, asking these often, helps us align ourselves with the overall vision and mission of the church we're a part of. Another huge factor in ensuring that we're aligned is through prayer. We need to pray and ask God that what He would have us do this year. Now, I realize that for some of us, it's going to be like, well, why don't you say prayer first? Like, are you saying prayer is secondary to what the senior pastor has told us to do? No, that's not what I'm saying. I am saying maturity in leadership is understanding that your senior pastor will have spent many hours in prayer seeking vision and goals for the church. And because you're not looking for new vision, but you're looking for how your ministry, what you've been entrusted to by your senior pastor, how that vision is going to incorporate and connect to, the first thing to do is align ourselves with what God has spoken to our senior pastors, and then also at the same time align ourselves with God and see how God would have us build those things together. So once you have your alignment, your prayer should look like this. God, thank you for this vision and these goals. What do you see for our kids ministry or our youth ministry or our young adults ministry as a response to this? Show me how to build your house with the vision that you have given. As God starts to speak about the vision, write it down. The clearer that it is that you can get your vision for you, the clearer the vision is for you, and the clearer the vision is for the team, the more effective it's going to be for everybody, including your senior pastor. Knowing what it is that you're carrying on the inside of you and that your teams are working towards, that's going to help you build. Okay, so that's the first one. You want to seek alignment before you action. We want to seek alignment before we action. The second thing is that we want to set smart goals that support the vision. Okay, we want to set smart goals that support the vision. What is a SMART goal? The letters, they stand for different things. The first thing about a SMART goal is that it has to be specific, measurable, achievable with a push, relevant to the vision, and time-bound, as in when are you going to get that thing done? See, what we tend to do is we tend to set goals like this. We're going to grow the youth ministry. And that's like our goal for the year, is we're just going to grow the youth ministry. And the reality is that it's a good goal and it's a good ambition, but a SMART goal would look like this. We're going to increase attendance by 20% by the end of the year through 4 outreach events, fortnightly small groups, and weekly services. You want to get your goals to be measurable, or else you don't actually know how you're going. I say this all the time to Next Gen Nation and to you on the podcast. If you listen for a long time, you'll know that I really believe this, but nobody wants to be part of a losing team. Nobody wants to be part of a losing team. Everybody wants to win. So we need to make sure we can measure the goal throughout the year so that we can give people sort of a barometer or a measurement on if they're successful or not. Now, obviously, just having an attendance goal is shallow. I want to encourage you to look at many different elements of your church, many different elements of your ministry, and see what different types of goals you can have that ultimately build towards health. We don't just want numbers, we want health, spiritual health, emotional health, mental health, all of the different physical health, if you'd like. Yes, I hear all of you, you health freaks. Yes, physical health, if you'd like to have a physical health goal. We want it to be measurable, but we also want it to be achievable with a push. So part of that is about looking back on the last year. How much did you grow by in the last year? Let's keep the growth goal as our main target. So let's say you grew by 10% year on year. That's awesome, by the way. If you grew 10% last year, if you just did the same thing you did like you did last year and did a little bit more, why don't you then set the goal at 20%? What we're saying is if we just keep doing everything that we have been doing, we're going to keep the momentum, but we're going to do a little bit more, and that little bit more is going to take us towards an even greater goal. And hey, let's be honest, even if you set the goal at 20% from a 10% and you end up at 16, 17, that's still amazing. The reach, the impact on people, that's still incredible. I'd encourage you to tie these goals to key vision points of your church. If your church is big on community outreach, for example, what goals do you have to link to that? Discipleship. If your church is big on discipleship, every church should be, in my opinion, but if your church is like, discipleship is what we do, awesome. How many young people do you want to have in small groups or going through Youth Alpha or Alpha this year? These sorts of goals align us together in a more tangible, in a longer lasting way. So we want these goals to be there. Now, if you're setting these goals with individuals, you need to think what specific things they are going to do that are tied to the church and the church's vision as well. Then after that, you need to review and revise regularly. You need to make sure that you're reviewing and revising these goals regularly. Now, this could just be with you sitting with a notepad in the Lord, or maybe it's even you and your upline, or maybe it's some of your key team, or even just the whole team, depending on your setup. But you really need to review and revise these regularly. And here's the key. Sometimes we set things in January and we get to March, April, May, and we start freaking out because we're realizing that maybe we overshot the goals. Listen, I would rather have a leader who goes, we're going to reach 10 million people, even though you've got 5 in your youth group, by the end of the year, and readjust those goals as you go through, than someone who's like, well, we've got 5, so we might as well keep 5. Come on, let's be big dreamers. Let's be ambitious for the kingdom of God. And if you have to adjust along the way, that's okay. The idea is that these goals are providing goalposts to aim for, not rules for punishment if they're not achieved. So after we've done that, so the first one, what was the first one? The first one was seek alignment before action, set smart goals that support the vision. And the third one is that we want to inspire buy-in and build momentum. We want to inspire buy-in and build momentum. Now, arguably, this is the most important one, because what good is a vision if you can't inspire people to run with it? If you can't inspire people to run with it, you're never even going to hit the goals anyway. And the cost to us in Christian leadership is that we're not going to make a difference in the lives of people around you and in your local community. So how do we do this? How do we do this well? We need to make sure that these goals, firstly, inspire and excite you as a leader. If you're not stirred by the vision, you need to sit with God until your faith jumps. If the vision is not exciting for you, why would your team be excited by it? The second thing you need to do is you need to involve your team in the planning process. Here's the truth. People always own what they create. People always own what they create. Now, you might not be able to involve your whole team in the whole planning process, but the question you should ask yourself is, when can you? Maybe in the goal setting, involve them. Maybe at that point, you want to involve them at clarifying and setting the goals. Maybe you want to sit and get the vision clear with your senior pastor and then bring them in after that. Maybe you've got a key team you want to bring in and help clarify and refine. Whatever you do, get your team in there to help them own it. Why? Because people always own what they create. The next one is to celebrate the wins along the way. Share testimonies during team meetings or on social media to highlight how your goals are impacting lives. Remember, the metrics aren't a bad thing, but the motives behind the metrics matter. And the way that we reflect our motives is by making sure we're celebrating not just the numbers, but the testimonies of people's lives that are being changed along the way. I want to encourage you to keep on celebrating how you're winning and give the team the wins. Make every win belong to the team. But as the leader, you need to take every loss on your own shoulder. The last thing I'm going to talk about today in terms of communicating this and getting people excited about the vision is to keep the vision front and center. What I mean by that is use team devotions, prayer times, and mid-year retreats to remind everyone what the goals are, what the vision is, and why it matters. Why does this matter? Why does what we do matter? We want to align people with the broader vision of the church and the broader mission of the church and keep everybody moving forward. Can I just say this? I'm going to say it anyway, but you can't ever communicate that enough. In this area of vision, of goals, of leadership, over communication is under communication. Like, there just is no level where it's being communicated too much. So I really want to encourage you to communicate, and make sure that you're motivating people along the way. So there you are, getting and setting great goals and vision for your church, your small group, or the people that attend your church or small group. Boom, there it is. Hopefully that's helpful. How do we seek this? We do this in 3 ways. Let me just remind you. Number 1, we seek alignment before action. Make sure you're aligned with the church's vision and mission. Don't build a church within a church. You're not the senior pastor just yet. Set smart goals that support the vision. Make sure that your smart goals are not just lofty, ambitious targets, but they're actually strategic, measurable. The other things we talked about with SMART, I forgot that's so bad. I should remember. Specific, measurable, achievable with a push, relevant to the vision, and time bound. When are you going to have them done? Have some deadlines. And the last thing is to inspire buy-in and build momentum. Over communication of the vision is under communication of the vision. You cannot communicate it enough. Keep communicating, celebrate the wins, and give it all away to the team. I want to encourage you. Let's make this year the best year we've ever had. Let's believe that we'd see more people discipled and won to Christ than we ever have before. You're amazing. You're a phenomenal leader. Keep going, because you never know what's around the corner. I'd love to know what you think. I'd also love to know what goals you have for your ministry, whether you're a kids ministry, youth ministry, young adults ministry, young professionals ministry, young families ministry, adults. Just if you've got goals. If you've got goals, I'd love to hear, I'd love to celebrate with you. You can send them to hello@harrysladenz.com. We'd love to partner with you in prayer for 2025. We'd love to hear from you. Also, feel free to send it on our new Instagram for Here and Now. Here's the name of it. It's up on the screen at the moment. If you're listening to this without video, you can check it out in the body of the description. Give it a follow. Stay up to date with everything that we're doing. We've moved away from just being my Instagram platform because Annaliese is on board and she is ripping it up. She's got lots of good thoughts. She's got lots of good things that she wants to say. So one central place. It is the Instagram right there. We're also doing Instagram Lives in 2025, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Hey, that's it for this episode of the Next Gen podcast, though. Thanks for joining me on every platform. It's been a huge honor to have you with me today. I hope that you really enjoy it. Just a reminder, if you're looking for team training for 2025, Annaliese and myself are available. All you have to do, you can book it online at harrysladenz.com, www.harrysladenz.com. You can check it out there, register, even if it's just to find out how it would work. We've got a bunch of Zooms that we're doing this year with different countries. We don't even have to come to you. Obviously, it's a lot better when we come together. If budget is an issue, talk to us. We'd love to try and make it work as well. And we'll do anything we can to partner with you because we really believe in the vision and the mission of Here and Now Ministry, but your church as well. We know that we're not the solution, but we can hopefully help plug the gaps in between. So we do a whole bunch of stuff. You can also download an info pack. The link to that I'll put in every description of this episode as well, and that'll also be available on the Instagram. So you can check everything out there. But we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to partner with you in any way possible. Hey, if you haven't also subscribed and checked out our Next Gen Nation, man, you need to get involved in the Next Gen Nation. In 2025, it's ramping up to a whole nother level. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be a whole bunch of fun. This is also where you get show notes. If you're listening to this at the gym or driving, you can download free show notes that you can then use for your teams or